Good. There we are. Got it. There we go. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotary District 7070's inaugural Learning Tuesdays, a series of short monthly sessions that will give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the wonderful world of Rotary. I'm Dave Andrews, Chair of the District 707 Public Image Committee. Tonight, the first Learning Tuesday is centered on public image and in particular, how to kickstart your club's social media. We're going to record the meeting, as we said, lots of inquiries, so we're all set. We're going to hear from our past district governor, Mary Lou Harrison, in a few minutes. She's also Rotary Zone 28 Public Image Coordinator. She's going to talk about the importance of Rotary's public image, and then we're going to hear from our keynote speaker, Hannah Shaw, Rotary International's social media and digital specialist from RI in Chicago. And she's going to offer some tips to help us kickstart our club's social media. And there'll be time at the end for lots of questions and answers. So feel free to do that whenever you wish. Joining us tonight, members of my own Rotary Club right here in Oshawa at the Oshawa Golf Club. We're very pleased to bring you tonight's Learning Tuesdays. And without further ado, please welcome our District Governor, Agent 7070, to say a few words. John Burns.
Good evening. Our public image and how we are perceived in social media can have a major impact on our organization globally, nationally, and locally. The image we portray can be lacking and inconsistent. This evening, we will learn how to improve that situation with the guidance from experienced international social media specialists. So at this point, I pass it over to Past District Governor Joseph, who will fill us in on what we have in store with Learning Tuesdays for the balance of this Rotary year. So over to you, Joseph.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. If you don't know who I am, my name is Joseph. I'm the District 7070 Learning Coordinator. And a big warm welcome to Learning Tuesday. As Dave mentioned, today is being the first Learning Tuesday of the Rotary year. Learning Tuesday is the pilot that we're working on for the remainder of 2023-2024 to help members of our district learn new and or refresh their understanding of different subjects. The sessions are organized in different are organized by different committees, and they will be offered every third Tuesday of the month. The sessions are offered on Zoom, and they are meant to be 1 hour long with clear description of the topic and the learning objectives. To find out what is offered next month, please visit the district website and have a look at what is being offered and by which committee. All learning training sessions are marked in the color red on the calendar, on the district calendar, and they're easily identifiable. When you click on the event, it will open a new page describing the topic, learning objective, and who is this targeted towards. Today's session, as Dave has mentioned, he and his team from the public committee, they're going to talk about how to kickstart your club social media. Next month is Learning Tuesday is going to be on the 20th of February, and it's put on by Joan Barrett, the chair of membership committee, and just click on it to learn more. If you don't have any questions, back to you, Dave.
Thank you very much, Joseph. We've got lots of good things coming on Learning Tuesdays. Notice the word training is not there anymore. We're not here to train people. We're all Rotarians here to learn. So I appreciate that very much. So Joseph's title is now what? Learning Facilitator, Learning Chair. Is that right?
Yeah, just call me.
Just call you Joseph. Okay.
Just call me Joseph. That's
okay.
Good.
Very good. Well, it's now my pleasure to introduce Mary Lou Harrison, our past district governor from District 7070 and the current public image coordinator for Rotary Zone 28. By the way, that's all of Canada and beyond. Mary Lou is going to tell us a little more about Rotary and our public image. Please welcome Mary Lou Harrison.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, PDG Joseph. Thank you, District Governor John. I'm really delighted to be here with all of you. And I'm the setup gal. So the real show is Hannah. I'm the warm-up act, and I am delighted to be that. So I thought we would start with why tell stories. And I see the slides are up here. So if we could have the next one, Bob, that'd be awesome. So here you go. You see your instructions here? Just close your eyes for a moment, if you would be so kind. Awesome. And take a listen. In Rotary, together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. All right, so open your eyes and we'll flip over to that slide. This is our vision statement. This is Rotary's vision statement. When we describe what we do or we seek to take on a project, this is what it's based on. This is the common story that we all share, however that looks in our individual clubs. And I love this graphic because if you look at the large words, it says together, people create change. And that is how we see ourselves, I hope. Take a second to throw in the chat how you think people in your community see Rotary, whether that's Rotary writ large or Rotary in your particular club. Just throw a few things into the chat there, if you would. How do you think people see Rotary? How would they describe Rotary? Would they describe it in these words? Service club? Thanks, Naveen. Community partners? Old boys club? Yeah, sometimes. Charitable donations? Yep, absolutely. Check writers would be a negative way. Charitable donations is a much more charitable way to put that. And we do make lots of important charitable donations. And helping the community, thanks, Joe. All doing good, or they don't know about us at all. Yeah, and so thanks for that. Rotary spent actually quite a bit of money to find out if people know about Rotary and what they know about Rotary. And they discovered that our brand was recognizable. People might have a sense of what the Rotary wheel was, but they didn't really have a great idea of what we did, or their idea of what we do and who we are didn't match this fabulous vision. So why tell stories then? Next slide. We tell stories to bridge the gap between what people might think we are, who we hope we are, and that includes that fabulous vision. Next up. Here we go. To bridge the gap between how others see us and how we see ourselves. Some of you will know this is a picture of me with short hair and my dad, my fabulous dad, Rotarian for over 61 years, who passed away in June. And even during COVID, and even though he lived in assisted living and he had many challenges, his Rotary Club still came and picked him up when he was able to go up until about 2021 and took him to service projects at Montgomery Zim. So you'll see here that, yeah, he's an old guy, right? When he died, he was 88, but when he joined Rotary, he was 21 or 22, like he was young. He was the kind of person we're looking to include in our clubs now, the younger person. So that's not to say there's not a role for the older folks in our clubs at all, not at all, but we want a diversity of membership. This is not just any bridge, by the way. This bridge is the Rainy Gorge Suspension Bridge, and this bridge would not have happened without the Rotary Club of Campbellford in our district. So there was a need for a bridge. There was a need to provide transportation or a gap in transportation to fill that gap. And the Rotary Club of Campbellford stepped forward and said, yeah, we'll get behind this. And then they pulled, as Rotary does, many community players together to have this bridge built. And if you've never been there, it's an incredible walk across. I heartily recommend it. All right, so this presentation tonight is about social media, and we can use social media to bridge this gap. Next up, why social media? Social media is where people are. Next slide, Bob. Thanks. This is where people are. So this is our opportunity to share Rotary's story, the big story of polio eradication, the story of what we do through the Rotary Foundation, the story of the change we make right in our own communities, food banks, and so food security. I'm thinking here of Joe and Feed the Need and all the clubs that come together in Durham region to make sure that families and individuals and people have enough to eat in a country where we have lots. So as people are getting, think of someone's day and think about how you can reach folks on social media throughout the day. So they're standing in a coffee line, or they've got their coffee and maybe they're sitting down, they're on public transit, they're waiting somewhere. I mean, who among us doesn't wait for things, right? We wait for things. They're traveling to work, they're traveling to see friends, they're hanging out with their friends, they're relaxing at the end of the day. So, and you've seen people, they've got their phone. Well, I'll hold it this way so you can see it. And you see them face down in their phone. So think of what you can put on that device that is interesting. Michelangelo Caruso, my predecessor in this role, would call this nutritious content. What can you put there that'll grab someone's attention and not just entertain them or tell them something they didn't know, but something that offers them an opportunity to be an actor in the story of Rotary. Last slide. As I say, I'm the warm-up act, so I will be around to answer questions and help in the chat and so forth. When you're on social media, whether you're commenting, posting, sharing a video, photos from an event, make sure that what you're showing and telling shows us as people of action. Make sure your photos show that. And make sure that your photos also show that these people of action represent everyone in the community, not just a select few that people might assume would be natural Rotarians. Really do your best to bring in Rotary's partners, Rotary's Youth Exchange, Rotary's RILA participants, for example, the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, which I think now is called something else, Rotary Youth Leadership Symposium, maybe, RLS, the Rotary HIP projects. We have a real opportunity to show the diverse impact of Rotary. Show us as people of action. And with that, I'm handing it back, and I can't wait to see what Hannah has for us.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Fantastic. I now call upon our Assistant Public Image Coordinator from Zone 28. You may know him very well, Joe Solway from the Rotary Club of Bowmanville. And Joe is going to introduce our keynote speaker tonight. Joe?
Thank you very much, Dave. And Mary Lou, that was brilliant as always. You know, you might think of yourself as the warm-up act, but believe me, you're a star in your own right. So anyway, I wanted to get that in. So you would think that the digital communications maven for an organization with 1.4 million members worldwide would have come out of a tech hub like the Silicon Valley or Bangalore or Tokyo, but not Hannah Shaw. She cut her digital teeth, so to speak, on a chicken farm. That's right, a chicken farm. She's Rotary International's social and digital media specialist. Hannah grew up in Cincinnati, graduated from Xavier University with a degree in communications, and ended up not in the Silicon Valley, but just a few hours away at a place called the Apricot Lane Farms in California, where she became involved in the farm's chicken operation and eventually became their marketing and communications coordinator. Now, of course, she is at Rotary International, but she still loves chickens, volunteering at an urban farm, so I'm told, in Chicago, and apparently even sporting a chicken tattoo. Welcome, Hannah Shaw. And is that true about the tattoo?
It is, yes. Thank you for reading from. I was lucky enough to be featured in a staff corner of the Rotary magazine, so that's where a lot of those tidbits came from. Thank you so much, Joel. I'm so happy to be here. I had the pleasure of meeting Joel and Mary Lou at Getz this year, and I was so thrilled to see in my email that he wanted me to come speak at this. So thank you so much for having me, especially for your inaugural one. It's an honor. So yeah, that was a lovely intro. I'm like blushing. so I can just move on from introducing myself there. But a bit of what I do at Rotary is that I create content that you see on Rotary International Social, if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And like, what does creating content mean? I identify concept, stories, people, facts that illustrate what Rotary is, its impact, in a way that's optimal for social and reaches our target audience. So we're going to talk about what exactly optimal for social means and what a target audience is. We'll get into a bit of that tonight. So if you could move to the next slide. Thank you. So the first tip, this kind of touches on what Mary Lou was saying earlier, is knowing your story. And Rotary members are so set up for success in creating great, impactful social media because you guys really know your stuff. I don't think I've ever met a Rotarian who doesn't love Rotary and can spit off a bunch of facts and impact and talk about the power of Rotary and the Rotary family. So really leaning into that. So what do you want people to learn about you when they visit your Facebook page or your Instagram page, or maybe you go the LinkedIn route? Think about if your Rotary Club had bumper stickers, or if Rotary had bumper stickers, what would they say? Inspiration for this can come from Rotary.org. They've got a lot of great key phrases on there when looking at our areas of focus. Like if you had a cleanup in going on in your community and you wanted to get some inspiration for a social post, you could go look at the environmental page. And then in thinking about what you want people to know, think about who you are. What do you do? Is there a particular cause or project that your club or district is particularly passionate about? What is the tone of voice that you'd like to speak to your audience in? Are you a more casual, laid back club, or are you a little more buttoned up about networking and business? So this can be done from a macro level, talking about Rotary as a whole, as an organization, a global network, or it can get as specific as a particular event, project, or cause. So the Rotary International tone is persevering, inspiring, compassionate, and smart. So, I mean, you can take that and run with it as well. And then when you're thinking about all these things, write it down, do a little sit down and write down your Rotary Club story. And this way, taking the time to do that and get it all written out, when you sit down to write a social post, you have this framework that you can pull phrases, stories from, etc. Next slide, please. Who are you trying to reach? So this is your audience. And a lot of times you can be like, everyone, I want to reach everyone, but that isn't the most effective way to approach this. So an example of who you could be trying to reach is members of my community who want to network, people who are passionate about the environment, people who are looking for a community, and then put yourself in the shoes of that person and think about what message they would be looking to see come across their phone. When creating content for Rotary International, we keep in mind that we're reaching both members and prospective members, someone who maybe has never heard of Rotary before, or someone who just has one of those ideas that you dropped in the chat, and you have a potential to kind of shift someone's image of what Rotary is just in that snapshot of when what you're posting is going across their phone. So with that said, keep your messages understandable, avoid jargon if you can. And if you have to use jargon, explain it. Like today, I was writing a post about RYLA it wasn't RYLA, it was Rotary Youth Exchange. And I just included, it's like a global exchange between two students. So think about those things that keep that learner's mind, that someone who's not been steeped in Rotary for however long wouldn't know. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. Social media is your online billboard. This goes with what I was saying. So keep your messages short and snappy and understandable for someone who's just driving by online. And next slide. So assign roles. The first step and the most important step to creating content is capturing it. So when you're planning an event, don't just think about your social media to promote the event. Think about what you can capture while you're at the event that you can use to create content for future events. So in your planning, think about, oh, we need some action shots. It would be good to like get some photos of people laughing, like just things that are applicable that you could post about later. So delegating roles. Who's going to take the photos? What kind of photos do we need? And who will create the posts? And do we have an idea of what kind of posts we're looking to create after this? And Mary Lou has a great point in the chat. People love a good behind the scenes point of view. And a tip I've always said is just keep taking photos. Like, luckily we're not working on film. You usually have a phone. Everybody's well equipped to take photos. So try some stuff out and you can edit later. Next slide, please. Be consistent. So people and algorithms love consistency. This is my number one tip. As a social media specialist, I get questions from my family and friends like, how can I make my social better? And it's consistency. I think consistency and quality over quantity anytime. So that could be picking one platform that you want to start on. Like, we're really going to focus on our Facebook. Or maybe if you're a more business networking club, we're really going to focus on LinkedIn, because it's easier to tackle one thing and gain your footing there than try to tackle all these different platforms at once. And then when you're posting, start small. You don't need to be like, cool, I'm going to kickstart my social media. We're posting 7 days a week. Like, let's go. That is not necessary. And if anything, platforms generally don't like if you're posting every single day. Maybe like on Instagram, if you're going to post something on stories every day, that's great, but you don't need a feed post every day. So you can start with, I'm going to post 1 to 2 times a week, create a calendar and decide what days you're going to post, because then people will expect to hear from you. And that fosters interest and trust. People will know, oh, I'm looking to get more. I want to find out how I can get involved this holiday season and give back to my community. I know that Rotary Club's Facebook is always up to date with things they're doing that I could maybe check out, and maybe it'd be an opportunity that I could get involved. So something like that. And then in that consistency, if you are actively posting on your socials, make sure you are answering your comments and messages. Because you might have a potential member in there who's trying to figure out when they can come to a meeting or how they can join or something like that. And then this is also a point that Mary Lou was making, is think of when you're deciding when you're going to post, think of when the people you're trying to reach are online. Maybe like when people get off of work and they're scrolling their phone, or around lunchtime or early in the morning. It kind of depends on who you're trying to reach. Next slide, please. Use photos that tell a story. A good photo shows action, shows emotion, evokes emotion in the viewer, and focuses on connection and community. And so you can think outside the box when taking your photos. Hands getting dirty, giving out supplies, sharing a moment of laughter. And when you're planning your events and you're talking about who's going to take the photos, you can also think of those like key moments when you're hoping to get a photo. Like, okay, we're going to have that speaker. We'd like a picture of them. But but avoid big check photos, posing group photos. Those photos are still great to have for your memories, but not exactly for your social pages. Yeah. Next slide, please. Lead with impact and encourage engagement. So the equation for a social media post that I like to think about is telling a story by identifying a problem, telling your solution, and displaying its impact. So when you're creating a post, think about what you want a person to scroll away from that post knowing, and think really big pictures. So if I'm creating a post about a new global grant that is supporting treatment for cervical cancer, what do I want the audience to know? It's less so about the amount of money we got for the grant. Like that's all great, but really what I want them to know is that Rotary supports women and children's health. That's one of our areas of focus, that we use local networks to create global sustainable impact. These big bumper sticker key moments that help foster a better understanding of Rotary. And then another good engagement play is asking your audience questions. So like, how are you looking to create impact in your community? How do you celebrate the holidays? Use that technique sparingly, but it is a good way to foster conversation online because after all, people are on social media to be social. So create that social play. But yeah, use that sparingly because you never like to see like a social page where people are like the posters like asking questions and then no one's answering and it's someone shouting in a quiet room. I always think that's kind of funny. Okay, next slide. Find inspiration. Think about the content that engages you online. It doesn't have to be Rotary related, but the stories that are effective in grabbing your attention, look at the techniques they're using and how you can replicate that in your own way. I really like to look at Patagonia's social media. I think they do a really good job of telling stories. A great resource is Rotary social media. So if you don't follow those, it's a great source of information, inspiration. You can always, if you're looking to start posting more regularly and you don't know where to start, you could integrate sharing a post from RI Social once a week. And then you kind of only, if you're like, I'm going to post 3 days a week, one day of the week, you could share a post from RI, and that knocks it down to you really only have to write 2. So, yeah. And so like an example of this is when I'm creating content, like I work with the archives department at RI, and we were recently talking about how we can do another video with them. And I was thinking about like unboxing videos. People love unboxing videos. So how we can apply those concepts that you wouldn't really think of that when you're thinking about history content, and apply it to that. Next slide, please. So use your tools. There are kind of tools built into different social platforms. Hashtags are one that people are familiar with. So there is the People of Action hashtag, hashtags topically related to your events. So hashtag environment, hashtag cleanup. You can also leverage UN days. If you just Google like UN calendar of days, they have these big like World Water Day, World Immunization Week is a week long, but those kinds of events that you could kind of tailor your programming along to. And that's another thing you'll see on the RA pages. So there are these existing frameworks you can plug into that make it a bit easier. And then another tool to lean on is tagging folks. So if you're partnering with a Kiwanis club to do a community event, make sure you also tag that club, because the social media platforms love to see that you're using all the tools that they give you. So if you're on Instagram, that's using stories, polls, all of those things. Yeah, and then the other tool you have is Google. The amount of like social media is constantly changing. And so a lot of that information of like best practices, current best practices is online. So if you have a question about social media, I would recommend giving it a little Google and just poking around and seeing what you find. There's a lot of great blogs out there. So yeah. And those are my top tips. I wanted to leave some time for questions. Oh, I didn't plug Brand Center, which is a great resource. I have in this presentation links. I'm not sure if they'll share out this presentation afterwards, but I did include links to RI socials if folks didn't follow them, and some great pages on Brand Center, which kind of does a lot of this stuff that I talked about for you. I do think it's important to tap into what makes your club and district special specifically, and not just lean on the all RI stuff, but that is a great starting point. And now I'm ready for questions.
Raise your hands, folks. Just give us a quick hello. I have a question. It's fine too. And also, we may have some that are in the chat room already. Mary Lou, have you been looking at the chat? Are there any questions in there at all? Yeah, there's one from Virginia, next year's district governor. What is unboxing video? That was my question too. Anna?
Yeah. So unboxing is something that's super popular online these days, especially with like little younger kids. It's basically people opening mail, if you can believe it. So social media influencers get these PR packages of mail, and they'll just like go through them and be like, this is a cup from wherever, and like, look at this. So when I talked about the archival videos, I was like, can we find a box of archival polio photos? And you can kind of just go through a few of them, and that engaging. Because if you then think about, okay, what about that content? Because people opening mail, that doesn't sound that interesting, but like, what about that content is interesting? It's like, there's this box of mysterious stuff, and I'm taking it out one by one, and you're learning these key takeaways from each thing. So that's kind of parsing out that content that people like to look at on the internet and seeing how you can apply those concepts to something that might not seem related.
I did one recently. I guess it was at Learning to Lead in the fall, so it wasn't that recent. But I had bought travelers, Rotary brand marked travelers for everyone on my team. And so I received them from the person, from Harry at CRS Marketing Services. So we did a little video of him giving me the box and me opening the big box and then opening the little box and then reading what was on the mug. And yeah, it was fun. Short.
See?
Fun.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
Exactly that one there that Joe just showed you. All
Joe had a
right. And then we have, Janet is asking, what's the best video camera holder? Should you have one with a light?
interesting. Okay, so we're talking about like a tripod, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am admittedly not really a gear head person. So I'm not really the best person to answer this question. But I do think lighting is important. I do think you can get a lot done with the phones we have nowadays. So yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't more fully answer that question.
I would say that natural light, like if you can get natural light, that is always the most effective. You get good depth, good color, people seem more realistic. And then if you're outside, no one's sitting down. People sitting down, bad. No sitting down, right? You've got more action, more movement.
Joe. You're on mute, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, hi. Yeah, I just have, first of all, videos, I think unless they're done really well, personally, I'd much rather see pictures, but anyway, that's my own bias. The, I have a suggestion. If you must, people like giving the big checks, and people, it makes them feel good to have that, and it makes them good to see them posted. When I was doing our concert to Feed the Need, Dave's Club gave me a big check. And I didn't want to just throw that away. So what I did was I posted, I took the big check picture, but I also went to the warehouse of Feed the Need in Durham, which is where the money was going. And I took a shot of me working in the warehouse. So I was standing there with all these boxes, and I put them side by side. And I said, thanks so much for the great donation, and here's where it's going. So we were able to acknowledge the fact that this club was really generous, but at the same time, we tied it to where the money was going. And so I think that's a suggestion that I have, I think there is a way to use them.
Yeah, I agree. It's taking away just the big check and showing the money and showing where the money's going and what the money is doing. And you compare those two together. And I think that's a great suggestion.
On our public image team in Zone 28, we call that unpack the check. So like, great, you've got the check, but you got to so like unboxing, right? Unpack the check. Even if you have a little video about the check presentation. So you could do a video with the check and unpack it with the people there holding the check, right?
Al mentioned gimbal. Al, where are you? Tell us about gimbal as far as the device for the phone. Go ahead, you're on mute.
A gimbal is what you could use for a camera or a phone holder, and it eliminates the vibration. So you could run and you could walk with it. It's like what you see on in the movies a producer would use, but you could get that version also in a small camera or a cell phone.
Yeah. That's a great recommendation. That's what we use when we're shooting on site, is a phone gimbal.
Joe had another question, which I thought was very interesting. It's very hard to make an interesting video and people often don't have the sound on, muted. So in that case, are pictures more effective than video? What do you think, Hannah?
That's an interesting question, because it is true that like 80% of 80% of people looking at your video are going to watch it without the sound on. So I would say either like a multiple photo post is great. I think just one photo, there's not much for people to hang around and look at, but multiple photos are great. Walking that line of like 3 to 4, you don't need like 15. But a well done video with closed captions on screen, so those people who are watching it without the sound on can still know what's going on, is great. Or creating like a 60-second like slideshow with words on screen too is another engaging option. But yeah, video, if you're going to do video, keep it short, keep it engaging, and make it so if someone is watching it without the sound, they still get something out of it.
Mary Lou's just put something in the chat there. Mary Lou, do you want to tell us what that is?
Oh yeah, that's just a link to Best Buy so you can see what a gimbal looks like.
Very good. Perfect. Perfect.
And
And you
I've
can
just-
caption the video. Yes.
Yeah, you can caption your videos. Sometimes automatically, right? Like in Instagram, you could do an automatic captioning.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make a comment. I guess everybody, I hope, knows that Rotary District 7070 has a Facebook page. It has an Instagram account. It's got a Twitter account, and we're working on a LinkedIn account. And the things I'm putting on those things are for you to share and repost. I'm getting them from all over the place, including your own clubs. So if I see something from your club that's kind of interesting, even if it's a fundraiser, I'm going to put it onto our district Facebook page so that all the clubs know what's going on. So please do that. Share your things with Rotary District 7070 Facebook. Make sure you're doing that. At the same time, go to our district Facebook page and use those posts and share them with yourself on your own Facebook page. Anna, yes. Anybody else?
sorry.
That's okay. Any other comments from anybody? No?
I like the idea of the hashtag. I know I always I'm with Wellington Wellington Rotary Club, and I like the idea of the hashtag. I know to tag people, but I like the idea of the hashtags, and I don't do that as much. So I learned that today. I thought that was really good, Hannah. Thank you.
Oh, great. I'm glad you got something. And something with that I forgot to add is if you are looking for hashtags to add to your post, you don't want to go crazy, but say you can look up the top hashtags just by Googling like top hashtags for the environment and find ones, and they'll even list like this one has like 500 million uses. So you can find the best hashtags, and I would keep your hashtag use to around like 5 to 8. You don't want your post to look crazy, but yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Naveen made a great comment. She said, how long should a video be? And Mary Lou piped up very quickly, 3 minutes is a very good size. Anything
less,
longer than
or
that,
less,
you've lost
or
people.
less.
Less, because you've lost people, right? 3 minutes or less because you've lost people otherwise.
If
What's
I
the
see
question?
something that says like 1:30, I'm like, yeah, I can watch that. If it says 2:40, it better look really interesting.
Barb's got a question. Barb.
I think Joe's ahead of me.
Okay, Joe, go ahead.
Okay, quickly. Yeah, I do a little bit of photography. It's one of my hobbies, and it's really it really it shouldn't bother me, but like there's no real need for it. People post lots of stuff. They're at some great event, and you can't see their faces because I don't know, maybe they've got darker skin or they're in shadow or whatever, and it's not cropped properly, and it just doesn't look good. And you can, or if you're like it's crooked if you're down in the water and the lake is like that, the horizon is tilted. It's really, really easy just to fix it. Edit your pics in your camera before you post them, or in your phone, or you can just do what I do is I put them through an online editing program that I have, and then I post them. And it doesn't take long, and it's fun. It'll make it look a lot better.
Sure do. They sure do. Welcome, Barb.
Hi, I just wanted to add a little bit to the video thing. Even 1.5 minutes is pretty long. The idea is to make it tight, make the things that you want to say as precise as possible, and then and then showing it with other things. But 30 to 45 seconds, excuse me, 30 to 45 seconds is long enough to put your message out there. And then if you can put out multiple 30 to 45 second videos out there that people might stick around and watch. But the rule is you're only going to get someone's interest for 10 seconds tops. So what you want to say should be said right off the bat, so that anything that you follow up with is sort of candy that they'll end up staying around to watch the rest of. But get your point and your message out there right off the bat.
Good old days of public relations. We used to call that the lead story, the lead paragraph, and sometimes the lead sentence, right, Mary Lou?
Indeed.
Dave,
Very good.
this guy Joe Soloway, he's from Bowmanville.
But none of your other phone numbers?
Well, in with Dave.
Right, folks, you'll see that in the chat, Joe has given us the editing program that he uses there.
Good.
And then we have a question from Naveen. If I'm sending a newsletter, what would be the best thing? One story only? Do I lose attention if I put more than one story in a newsletter?
So my advice would be pick a theme for your newsletter and then find a couple, not too many, but like a couple things that fit in that theme, and then do just like a couple lines about each thing and leverage photos and leverage links, because newsletters are kind of just holders for links for people to go elsewhere to promote multiple things. So like a monthly newsletter, maybe you have like a headline story, that's the thing you that's the most engaging. So it could be that you had like a really successful event last month and it had this great impact, and then or I guess you would probably lead with like what you want people to do. So if you want people to go to a thing and be like, go to this thing, and then like a couple of examples of here are these other great things that we've done that prove that they're going to want to go to your thing. So kind of make it all work together.
Speaking of newsletters, I know Rotary's got a whole bunch of newsletters that you can subscribe to and take a look at. Can you talk about that for a second, Hannah?
Yeah, we've got a great one, Brand News, I believe that it's called, that is specifically public image related things, and they've got tips. I wrote a blog and it was in there. I think they link out photos and webinars and all that great learning information. I know they have a specific newsletter for district governors. They've got a whole lot of them. That is not my my area of expertise at Rotary, but in the Learning Center, you can find newsletters to fill your inbox with.
That's for sure. No doubt about that. Okay. Oh, Mary Lou, yes. And then
I'll let Barbara go first because then I have a commercial.
Okay, Barb, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just say quickly the newsletter theme. If you had a big story, the theme story for your newsletter, what you can do is create related stories. So if it's a polio, if it's a come to this event for polio, somewhere in the article you can have a related story about polio in there. The other thing you can do is you can attach links to keywords in your article that will link them to these other related stories, and then that way you've kind of packed the power into the one main featured story, but then these other links embedded within the story will send you off to other areas that can either help define what you're doing or related story around what you're doing, people, places, things, etc.
Mary Lou, you have a commercial.
I have a commercial and I've put it in the chat with a link, but I'm happy to, and Dave, I think has this information and has been sent out to folks, but so on the 30th of January, Laura Spear and I, the Rotary Public Image Coordinator from Zone 32, along with Liz from Rotary International, we're going to be doing a special session on branding, but it's going to be a little out of the box. So we'll do a refresher on correct logo use, but it's going to be about how to use and protect the Rotary name and why that is important. So why it's not okay to brand something as Rotary International if you are not Rotary International. If you are Rotary Toronto Sunrise, that's my club. The shirt is branded Rotary Club of Toronto Sunrise. It doesn't say Rotary International. Licensed vendors have the ability to sell you a Rotary International shirt, but there are rules around branding. It has to do with copyright and so forth. And it is interesting to note that Facebook, we talked about this on our public image call on Sunday, that Facebook has been taking down pages that seem to infringe on the copyright of Rotary International and other copyright infringement, but it has happened to clubs that have posted things as Rotary International, not intending to, and those pages have been taken down or threatened with being taken down. Just a related thing there is on healthcare, and we do a lot in the healthcare realm. Facebook is quite sensitive, let's say, to criticism of how they handled COVID information, misinformation. And so their algorithms are very sensitive to anyone posting health-related information. So be as correct and as factual as you can, because that has also resulted in some clubs' Facebook pages being taken down or suspended, even when the content was about polio eradication. So while they sort out that algorithm, just be careful what you post.
John's got a question. John.
You
You're not
first.
muted there.
Yeah, okay. Can I share my screen for a second, Bob? No?
There you go. I'm co-host. I might be able to do that, John. Hang sec.
You're the co-host now. There you go.
Give it a try, John.
Okay. I feel that a picture paints 1,000 words. And I know Joe says some cases you don't see the faces. You don't have to. If this is one of my favorite pictures,
Mm,
you don't see the faces, but this is a librarian, and this is her youngest child. So you're not going to ask the mother, you have to ask the child. They start off very young. So that was what I wanted to share with you.
Fantastic. Very good. Thank you, Hannah. John's going to say a few thank you words, but I really want to hear about what's going to happen next month in February. So it's my pleasure to introduce our membership chair for District 7070, Joan Barrett, and she's going to tell us what's going to happen on February 20. Joan?
Okay, thank you, Dave. Yes, on Learning Tuesday, February 20th, you're going to have the opportunity to hear the Rotary International President-elect, Dr. Stephanie Yurchuk, and she's going to be speaking about membership, and she'll be coming in along with her associate, Tom Gump. And it's one opportunity to actually hear our Rotary International upcoming president without having to go somewhere far away. So we're looking forward to having as many people as possible sign up for February the 20th. And it'll be at 7 p.m., same as tonight.
Perfect,
you.
good deal. Well, I think it's time to wrap up, and here's our wrap-up expert, District Governor John Burns. John, please say a few words.
The wrap-up expert. I love it, Dave. A real big thank you to Mary Lou and to Hannah. I do hope this has some impact on our social media. You can see what changes we can make. It still makes me think that even after we've done it, a past Scottish poet, Robert Burns, 250 years ago, in a prayer, said, would someday the gift give us to see ourselves as others see us. In other words, it would be good if God gave us the gift to see ourselves as others see us. We have to hope the changes we make others see us in a better light. But once again, thank you, Mary Lou, and thank you so much, Hannah, for your presentations tonight. And thank you all for attending.
Thank you, everybody. And we made it just in time at 7:57. How about that? Mary Lou, that was for you. We finished on time.
Nice job. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you for
Thank
all
you, everybody.
all Rotary's
Thank
caring.
you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Will.
Thank you so much for having me.
everyone.
Thank you to
Thank
all.
you.
Good to
Fantastic.
see you. Bye.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye all. See ya.
Thank you.